My name is Allison Leahy, and I'm a member of the Marathon County Board. It is so exciting to see so many community members and people who have traveled to come to Wausau today to talk about the budget and to talk about the future of the great state of Wisconsin. I am beyond honored to introduce our next governor, Tony Evers.
Good afternoon, folks. Sorry I'm a bit late. And thanks so much for being here. I know this is kind of an odd timing of the day, and we're also have sloppy roads out there, so I appreciate everybody being here. Can everybody hear me? I want to make sure that's accurate. So anyway, I think I just want to recognize two former state legislators, Pat Kreitlow and Donna Seidel. Are they here? I think so. Thank you so much for being here. And Chairman McGeeshik from Old Lake. Chairman, are you here? Thank you very much. So we had an election a short time ago, and as it turns out, I was a victor there. So I appreciate the support I have. But you know, that election wasn't just about me. It actually, you know this, it's about the people of Wisconsin. So it's not about the people on the ballot. It's about you all, and that's why we're here today. And there may be actually people in the audience here who did not vote for me. But the issue here is that we want to make sure we're listening to all the people of Wisconsin. That's why we're doing these events. We started last night in Green Bay. We're going to have one in Wausau, La Crosse, and Milwaukee. And what we're doing is trying to reach out to as many people as possible during this time between the election and the inauguration and when we develop our budget. Now, the state budget, as you know, is the most important policy lever that we have in the state of Wisconsin. Most policy is actually developed and maintained and funded through the state budget. So that's why we're here right now. We're in the process of developing that budget, but we really need people's input. And that's why we're here, and that's why we're last night in Green Bay. And the event worked very well last night in Green Bay, and I'm sure it will here also. But first of all, this is probably the only political thing I'm going to say here today, and that is this. The contrast between what's going to happen today and what happened a week or so ago in the state capitol is going to be striking for you, because in that case it was late at night, decisions made without much or any public input, and frankly it was a hot mess. What we're doing today is completely different. I'm here to listen, and I'll be going from group to group to group, listening, seeing what people have to say. We have great facilitators. The event will go very, very well. But it is not about me or Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes or any of the other elected officials. It is about what is important to you as the people that represent all of you in central Wisconsin. So this is the start of the work of the biennial budget. We're working very hard on that right now, but we really need your input. We're going to be doing some good things in groups. We want to make sure that you are all heard in a very constructive way. All the issues that you bring up will be recorded and shared with the people that are working on the budget. So clearly, this is an important thing to do, and we're going to do this. We're going to do it together as a group, so I appreciate that. Now today, the one thing I would say, the facilitators and the participants last night did a great job. A lot of great interaction. People were very respectful of each other. The groups went very well, but I can just tell you from my vantage point, and this isn't a criticism, this is just, if the side conversations outside of the groups can be kept to a minimum, I think that helps everybody hear better. And I'm not saying within the groups. Within the groups, everybody was great. It was the people that were kind of on the outside that were talking at a level that I think sometimes inhibited people hearing well and being heard. So whatever you can do, if you're not in a group for a few minutes, you're going to the restroom, or you want to chat with somebody, make sure you can do that outside of the conversations outside of the room here today. So as I said, this is a really important event. We're going to have about an hour and a half to make this happen, and I'm turning it over to someone. Is it you, Tom? Tom McCarthy, who is going to give you directions on how to arrange yourself so that we can make this happen. So Tom, take it away.
Thank you.
Let's do that.
Beautiful.
There we go. Everybody hear me? Well, good. Thanks. It's great to be here in north central Wisconsin and Wausau, listening to the people. And I'll just say this quite bluntly. The input that we're getting is outstanding, and I think this is an opportunity actually for me to take opportunity to compare what's happening here in Wausau today to what happened in Madison the last couple of weeks, where things happen in the dead of night, very little input from people. And frankly, the result is some very horrendous legislation. That said, just set that aside for a minute. The people in north central Wisconsin came out today and are airing issues that are important to them, and we're collecting all that information. It's going to go into our budget deliberations going forward, and we look forward to doing this elsewhere in the state. So I'll be glad to answer any questions anybody has. Yes?
Timeline for budget.
Pardon me?
Timeline for a budget.
Well, we're going to ask for extension to make sure that we have time to create a budget. It should be released sometime before March 1st, someplace in that area. We have to always, we have to get approval by the folks in the legislature, but I think that can happen.
Governor, when you release your executive budget, what do you anticipate is going to be the biggest difference people will notice right away from the executive budgets than we saw under Governor Walker?
Well,
is it going to be education?
Well, yes. We're going to focus on the issues that we talked about during the campaign: education, transportation, and health care. So what people notice is that what we talked about when we got elected is what we're going to be following through on. But in addition, we're going to have what's reflected, what we're hearing today in that budget also. And I think, I know the Joint Finance Committee goes around the state and does their input sessions, but that's after it's kind of baked. And we're in the process of baking that, and we want people to be part of putting the ingredients in that cake.
What is the estimated budget?
Pardon me?
The estimated budget?
Estimated budget amount? We're not releasing it this time, that's for sure. It's being developed.
What about working with Republicans? Obviously, they're not necessarily real helpful. How do you get a budget passed?
Certainly.
Maybe with obstruction.
Yeah, well, that's part of my DNA, always has been, to make sure that we reach out and reach common ground. So that, it's going to be made a little more difficult from what's happening now. But the fact of the matter is, I'm going to continue to do that. We have to, the people of Wisconsin did send a message to everybody, I believe, whether the winners or losers, is that the days of fighting and not reaching compromise and being hyper-bipartisan or hyper-partisan, those days should be over. And so I'm going to do whatever I can to reach out to Republicans to make sure they understand. Republicans want to have good schools, they want good environment, they want good transportation, they want all the things that we want and that I want, and frankly the people of Wisconsin expect us to work on. So we're going to make sure it happens. It's going to be, as always, it's going to be a tough slog, but I feel confident that the people, we're going to take, I'm sorry, I keep hitting you, I'm sorry.
Maybe I'll take a slight step back.
No, that's fine, I'll stop gesturing. But the people of Wisconsin expect that, and we're going to, once we release our budget, we're going to be going around the state also talking about it and making sure people understand why we did what we did, and I think that will help. We're going to have the people on our side, so I think our budget will be in good shape.
Governor-elect, as you know, the Governor Walker, has indicated he might be open to some partial vetoes on some of that lame duck legislation. If you had to pick one thing that you would hope that got changed or partially vetoed out of that big package, what would you hope most? I'm
going to disappoint you in this answer. There's 141 pages of that hot mess. All of it needs to be vetoed. Clearly, do I expect that to happen? From what, the short time I talked to him, he was pretty non-committal. and from his comments going forward, seemingly, he might veto some things. But the bottom line is, I think the governor, and I know he is, he thinks about his legacy, he's been tweeting about it, but the issues are going to be reflective on him for the rest of his career in public life. And my goal is to make sure the people of Wisconsin continue to call him and reach out to him and make sure that he understands what an important decision this is. It's part of his legacy, and I doubt if he wants it to be a bad one. Governor McCallum, former Governor McCallum, talked about this, as did lots of other Republican leaders, and I hope he listens to them also.
Governor-elect,
Two more questions here.
have you, would you file a lawsuit if he does sign the bills?
Well, once we get to that point, we'll make that decision, because we don't know what is going to come out of his decision-making process. So is that one thing that's on the table? Absolutely, but there's lots of other opportunities. We'll know for sure once we see what it looks like, what the bottom line is.
So just exactly.
Last question.
North Central Wisconsin has a large number of undocumented or illegal people here.
Yeah.
And the big issue is the driver's license.
Yeah.
How will your administration process and go through getting and gaining ground so that driver's licenses are, again, a reality for people in the States?
That's really important. We hear businesses all the time talk about the fact that there's difficulty finding people to do the work, and there are people that are willing to do the work, but because they can't drive, or legally drive, that causes immense problems. The Wisconsin Farm Bureau is on my side on this issue. They believe that we should be able to have driving permits for undocumented folks. They're part of our society. They add value to what's going on. They're doing good work for the businesses in the state. Getting them safely back and forth to work, first of all, increases safety on our roads because we know people will have been trained properly and will have been insured properly, and I think it'll help our economy. So we're going to continue to talk about it, and hopefully we can change that going forward in the state. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, Governor-elect.